Welcome, Mindsetters, to this session of grade 11 maths literacy. I'm here with Mr. Peter. It's been a while. I haven't been here. So how are you doing, Pete?
I'm good. I thought they'd fired you because I haven't seen you around for absolutely a long time. Yeah. In fact, I heard that Ty was fired from his last, or left his last job because of absolute illness and exhaustion. Your boss was sick and tired of you.
True? Possibly.
Okay. But it's good to have you back here. All right.
It's always a pleasure to be here.
Great.
And to have you here.
Okay.
And yes.
You're going to tell the viewers about this? I'm walking over there.
Cool. Exactly. So guys, well, I'm glad to be here and not fired under those terms. That is a complete non-true. But anyway, guys, make sure you get on the page www.facebook.com/learnextra. And guys, make sure you get chatting to me so I can get chatting to Pete so we can help you guys out, because we cannot help you if you do not chat to us. It's simple math. Get it? Math joke?
Yeah.
Anyway, Peter, take it away.
All right, good afternoon, everyone. Great to be back on our show, grade 11. And today what we're going to do is we're going to start doing a bit of revision. And what I've been asked to do is to revise some graph work. Okay, now, next week's session, I would like to revise what you would like me to do. So I tell you what, here's a bit of a challenge for you. Not even a challenge, just a request from you. If you've got some section that you're really battling with, you don't understand, whatever it may be, whether it's area, whether it's perimeter, it could even be probability again. Whatever the case, if you want me to revise something, why don't you drop us a note on that computer thing, and by the end of this session, we'll be able to tell you whether we've picked up your message or not, and that might help us decide what you want us to do next week. But for today, we're looking at graphs, and it's all about graph work. So let's get started straight away. And I thought what we would do today is we would start with a very basic, very simple, very easy question. But it just sets the tone for this whole section on graph work. Let's have a look at it. The diagram below represents Bryce's progress during the first part of the August cycle tour, from the start to Lakeside, which is 23 kilometers from the start. The graph shows the distance that Bryce had covered in kilometers over time in a certain amount of minutes. Okay, so here we have a guy, his name is Bryce, and Bryce now is going to do the August cycle. And he gets on his bicycle and off he goes, and he starts cycling, right? We decide to record how far he is every few minutes. And we're doing it right from the beginning up to this point here, which is at Lakeside. Okay, so we're looking at his trip, or on the bicycle, from the beginning of the August up to Lakeside. Now, let's have a look at this graph. Okay, so it says Julian's distance, but that's not true. It's Bryce's distance, okay? So we're looking at the distance against time to Lakeside. So here we go. When he starts, he's covered no distance. Can you see that? So at the start of the race, how far has this guy gone? Well, he hasn't gone anywhere. And that makes sense, doesn't it? Imagine if you're starting a race and at the beginning, you're almost at the end. That doesn't make any sense at all. And so it's logical that before the race has started, we haven't covered any distance. Now, let's have a look at what goes on. So you can see that Bryce is cycling, and as he's cycling, so he's getting further and further and further away from the beginning, okay? He's covering quite a bit of distance. And then something happens. What happens? Suddenly, the graph starts to increase, okay? It's not so gradual. It's got a higher gradient. Then, at 20 minutes, something weird and wonderful happens. The line straightens out. Can we see that? Okay? Suddenly straightens out for no apparent reason. And we're going to be looking at that just now and saying, wait, what happens? Suddenly, over a period of time, and look at this, time's carrying on from the 20th minute to the 25th minute, time's carrying on, but his distance is not getting any further. So what's going on at that point? And then what happens, he starts cycling again, and the gradient increases, and then gradient's still going up, but at a much gradual climb. All right, now, let's have a look at some of the questions. First question, what distance had Bryce covered after 13 minutes? Okay, nice simple question, a nice kind of question to ask in a paper one. Okay, why? All we're wanting to do is, do you know which axis is my minutes, which is showing my time, and which axis is showing my distance? So which is showing the time, which is showing the distance, and can we read distances and times from my graph? That's all the examiner is testing here. So let's go for it. First thing, 13 minutes. So we're dealing with time. My vertical axis, oops, let's just get a nice screen here. So my horizontal axis, rather, we're looking at time. My vertical axis, we're looking at distance. Can you see that? Now, what distance, in other words, I'm going to try and find my answer somewhere over from those figures. What distance had Bryce covered after 13 minutes? So we got to find 13 minutes. Let's have a look. 5, 10, 15. Now, if you look at our individual segments, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 little segments between 10 and 15. In other words, each tiny little segment represents 1 minute. So, 10 minutes, 11th, 12th, 13th. So here's 13 along this line over here. And where does it cross? Oops, my line went very wrong. Where does it cut the graph? At that point. Where is that point when I draw a horizontal line? So let's draw a horizontal line. There we're drawing the line, and it cuts at 5 minutes. In other words, my answer is after 13 minutes, he's covered 5 kilometers. Okay, I said minutes, didn't I? I meant kilometers. So after 13 minutes, covered 5 kilometers. So easy. Well, you would think so, but there are some vital concepts that we've been looking at there already. Okay, so by answering that question, the examiner's saying, you know what, this guy answering this question, he knows how to look at my different axes. He knows how to make a relationship between my horizontal axis and my vertical axis. Let's look at my next question. So my next question is still about the cycle, but it says now, for how long did Bryce stop? Oi. So now there's a thing of Bryce actually stopped somewhere. So he was cycling along and suddenly something happened and he stopped. Why would someone stop when they're cycling in a race? Well, there could be several reasons. Maybe he got a puncture. And so suddenly he had to stop to fix up the puncture. Maybe he fell off his bicycle going around a corner, and suddenly the first aiders had to come along and try and patch him up. I don't know, it could be loads of reasons. But what we do know is he stopped. Now, where along this route do you think he actually stopped? I would say he stopped somewhere when the line was horizontal. Why did he stop there? Because from the 20th minute to the 25th minute, he's made no progress. Okay? He's done just over 10, round about, let's say, 12 kilometers. So he's covered 12 kilometers at 20 minutes. After 25 minutes, he's still 12 kilometers from the start. So at one stage, he's cycling along. Okay? Like, watch me, I'm walking. There's the beginning. So I'm walking along and I stop. And time goes past. And then I'll move again. But although I've stopped, time hasn't stopped. So you can see he stopped. He's still 12 kilometers from the start. But time hasn't stopped. It's carried on. So how long did he stop for? Well, if he stopped at 20 minutes and he started again at 25, the guy stopped for 5 minutes. Are we happy? Of course we are. Let's move on. My next one. Now, right, second question. Justin wants to start a consultancy business and he wishes to work out what would be an appropriate hourly rate to charge. He has worked out that his fixed costs are 30,000 Rand a year. The variable costs per hour are 15 Rand. He charges 40 Rand per hour. Now, write a formula for the yearly expenses. So we got this funny little fella, his name is Justin, and Justin starts his consultancy business. What's a consultancy business? Well, it's when someone goes around and gives advice on certain things, on certain aspects. He's a consultant. He helps other people. And he works out that his yearly expenses are 30,000 Rand for the entire year. Okay? Now, where would those expenses come from? Well, maybe he's renting a building. And he's paying a secretary for 2 mornings a week, whatever the case may be. But in total, he's paying out 30,000 Rand every single year. Added to that expense, let's have a look here, he has another expense of 15 Rand for every hour. Well, why does he have 15 Rand expense for every hour? Well, maybe while he's traveling somewhere, he's saying, you know what, I've got to add my petrol. Or maybe he's saying, you know, I'm charging that 15 Rand an hour because I'm using a lot of paper when I'm writing reports and trying to help someone. But whatever the case is, he's worked out somehow that for every hour he works, it's costing him 15 Rand every hour. Okay? That's besides the 30,000 Rand that he pays for the whole year. Do we understand this? Now, it says write a formula for the yearly expenses. So let's do that. We are going to say that his expenses are 30,000 Rand plus what? Plus 15 Rand for every hour times the number of hours. Okay? Or I could write it like this and say my expenses are 30,000 Rand plus 15 Rand per hour, or 15H. Do you remember many months ago, I said to you that if we've got no sign between a number and a letter, it means time. So times. So 15H means 15 times 100. You see that? Plus 15 times the number of hours, or 15H. Okay, that's the formula for our expenses. Our next question says this. Write a formula for the yearly income. Let's go back and look at this paragraph. How much is he earning every year? Well, he's earning 40 Rand for every hour of work that he does. Got that? So we're not getting a bulk income. He's not suddenly getting 40,000 Rand or 50,000 Rand. No, not at all. He's only getting 40 Rand for every hour that he works. And that's a rather cheap rate, that, I think, eh?
That's quite small.
Oh, absolutely. Hey, I took my son to the doctor earlier. Well, it was more than 40 Rand for that hour. In fact, it was only half an hour, and it was a whack more than 40 Rand. I kid you not, okay? So this guy's a good guy to get. If you can get him to work for you, you're on a good wicket. He's only charging you 40 Rand. So what is my formula for income? My formula for income now is going to be my income is equal to 40 Rand times the number of hours that I work. Or I could say my income is equal to 40 Rand times H. 40H. Okay? 40 Rand per hour, 40 Rand times the number of hours, or 40H. Got that? Now, they've asked us for 2 formulas. One, they've said, what is the formula for the expenses? And 2, they've said, what is the formula for the income? Now, why have they done that? I almost guarantee they're going to want me to do something with those formulas. Let's have a look at the next question. So, my next question says this. What does it mean when a business breaks even? What does it mean when a business breaks even? When a business breaks even, it means that all their expenses are covered. They've made no income, they've made no profit, but they've got no expenses left either. All right? So let me put that in simple terms. Let's say, in fact, here's a real life example. Right. Many, many, many years ago, I was involved with a rugby festival. And we brought little young children from primary school from all over the world. We brought some from England, some from New Zealand, from Australia. And they all came out to South Africa, and we had a little rugby festival. And the person that was organizing it said to me, you know what? I wanted to make some shirts for the festival, but I've run out of time. Do you want to do it? And I thought, wow, this could be a good way to make some money, okay? So what I did was I went out and I bought some T-shirts. Lovely, good quality stuff, right? I won't tell you where I bought them from, but good quality T-shirts. And then I went off to someone who does screen printing. And I said to them, what I want you to do is I want you to put on these shirts the flags of the different color of the different countries that are going to be represented at the festival. That sounded quite good. So we had the South African flag, the British flag, we had Australia's flag, New Zealand's flag, and it was all on the shirt. Okay. And at the back, it said, South African Junior School Rugby Festival, something along those lines. I can't remember exactly. And off I went to this festival. But here's the scary thing. The scary thing was I had to buy those T-shirts, number one. I had to pay for them. Number two, I had to pay for the guy to put all the flags on and put the writing at the back of the shirt. I had to pay for that screenwriting. It all came out of my pocket. Wish. And I got worried because I spent an absolute fortune on all of that. And I made something like 1,000 T-shirts. I thought, you know what? Let's try and sell 1,000 T-shirts. Here's the scary thing. Every T-shirt that I sold, okay, I was making a bit of money on. But I had to sell a minimum of 400 T-shirts just to make my money back that I'd spent on the T-shirts and the screen printing. Any money I made or any T-shirts I sold over 400 was pure profit for me. But I had to sell 400. Now, it was a festival over 4 days. So I worked out every day if I could sell 250 T-shirts, I would sell them all. But my most important concept or the most important thing in my head was, Peter, you've got to sell 400. Because if you don't sell 400, you've made a loss. Okay. So Ty, guess what happened? Day one of the festival. How many T-shirts do you think I sold? Remember, I wanted to sell at least 250 a day. How many do you think I sold on my first day?
5.
You know what? You were very close, okay? It was just under 10 T-shirts. I think 8 or 9, I can't remember.
Oof, that's
and
tough.
my heart nearly attacked me, okay? I nearly had a heart attack. It was, if I've only sold 8 T-shirts for a day, I'm going to have sold a total of only 32 T-shirts. I'm in trouble. Financially, I'm in such trouble, I'm not even going to go home and tell my wife, okay? In fact, I'm not even going to go home. And I realized we had a problem, okay? Luckily for me, Ty, luckily for me, on the first day, not everyone brought money. But when they saw the shirts, it was like, oh, wow, we gotta buy one of those. And so on day 2, we sold a whack of T-shirts. I passed the 400 mark.
Nice.
So on day 2, it was like, sure, now I'm beginning to
Now I
make
can
a
go
profit. Perhaps I can go home, I can face my wife. I can tell her how worried I was yesterday, but how everything is good today. By the 3rd day, remember, it's a 4-day festival. By the 3rd day, all the T-shirts had been sold out. Everything. And I made a whack of a profit. I think a full 300 Rand or something like it. Okay. But the good thing was, or the important thing I'm trying to get through, I had to sell 400. 400 was what I would term my break-even point. If I sold 400, I hadn't made any profit, but I hadn't made a loss. I just got my money back. So break-even point means, what does it mean when a business breaks even? It means they haven't run at a loss, but they've made no money whatsoever either. Let's have a look at this question now. How many hours must be worked in a year in order to break even? Yeah. Now, what is the formula for break even? The formula for break even is this. When my income is equal to my expense. Because when my income is equal to my expense, then I've made no money, my expense is not higher, or my income's not higher, and I've made no loss. My expense is not higher. So when my income is equal to my expense, I've got break-even point. Great to remember. Should we finish this after the ad break, or should we just keep going?
I think we should actually take an ad break. That would be a smart idea.
All right, let's do that. So we'll take a break.
All right. So guys, make sure you stick around. Guys, chat to me. The page is too quiet. It's too quiet. I don't like it. I don't feel I don't know. I'm pretty sure Peter will feel like he's talking to himself. Because if you guys aren't talking to us, then who are we talking to? You know what I mean? But anyway, guys, make sure you stick around. Grab a snack, whatever you need, so you don't have to fidget or get up or go anywhere. But we'll see you after this break. Welcome back, Mindsetters. I hope you had a nice little break. Got your snacks, whatever you needed to do, went to the toilet, whatever you needed to do to make sure that you can pay attention and not have to get up or go anywhere. Because, guys, we're ready for the next session. So, guys, Peter, take it away.
Great, thank you. I thought I'd just tell you this. The other day I had to go and do a speech at another school. And so I had the speech all written out on paper. And I said to my wife, just listen to this. I want to read it to you. So I read it. Dear ladies and gentlemen. Blah, 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 blah. Read the whole thing. At the end, I said to my wife, do you think I need more fire in the speech? And she replied and said, no, I think the fire needs more speech. So, yeah, okay. I thought it was funny. All right. So, before the break, we were looking at income and expense, and we were looking at this whole new concept of break even. Okay, and what is break even? Well, break even, we said, was when my income and my expense is exactly the same thing, all right? So I have no expenses, but I don't have any income as well. So at the end of the month, I can say, sure, I've paid everyone I had to pay. Oh, but I got no money left, okay? Made no profit. Now, the question was this. How many hours must be worked in a year in order to break even? And of course, folk, we're referring to this question here, where Justin wants to start a consultancy business. He wishes to work out what would be an appropriate hourly rate to charge. He's worked out that his fixed expenses are 30,000 Rand a year, the variable expenses per hour are 15 Rand, and he charges 40 Rand an hour. So what we're going to do is say, okay, when my income is equal to my expense, what is my income? Well, we just calculated, or just saw, didn't we? We said my income was 15 Rand per hour. Okay, I'm going to get rid of the R because sometimes that can cause confusion. So it's 15H. What's my expense? My expense, do you remember, is 30,000 Rand a year plus 15 Rand per hour. My income, is 40 Rand an hour. Oh my goodness, I just made a horrible mistake there. Okay. So now that we know what our income is, what our expense is, and we've equated the two together, what we are now going to do is try and find out, well, how many hours must you work to break even? And that's what we're trying to do. So what we're going to do is, on my right-hand side of my equation, I got a number, 30,000, and then I've got 15H. On my left-hand side of the equation, I got 40H. So I'm going to get the H's to one side and the numbers to the other. On the side, I've got plus 15H. I'm going to bring it across and say minus 15H. And that is going to equal to 30,000. Okay. Now, 40 minus 15 is going to give me 25H. 25H is equal to 30,000. H, therefore, is equal to 30,000 divided by 25. So let's do that on a calculator. With our calculator, we're going to say, right, we've got 30,000 rand. 1, 2, 3. We're going to divide it by 25. And what's our answer? Our answer is 1,200. So our answer of 1,200, let's write that down here, means that Justin has to work for 1,200 hours before he breaks even. What happens if Justin only works for 900 hours? Well, if he only works for 900 hours, he's going to have made a loss, okay? Because he has to work 1,200 just to cover his costs for the year. Once he works more than 1,200 hours, he's now beginning to make a better profit. So what's Justin's one aim? Justin's one aim is to get work, as much work as he can, obviously, but at least 1,200 hours, so that he can go home and face his wife and say, sure, you know what? It's okay. We don't have to sell the house. Right. What's going to be our next question? Our next question now says this. How much money will be made in order to break even? Now, do you remember we had two different equations? We had one for income and one for expense. So my income statement was 40 rand times the number of hours. My expense said 30,000 plus 15 rand times the number of hours. How many hours do we have to work? We said we have to work at least 1,200 hours. So let's do that on our calculator. We're going to say 40 multiplied by 1,200 equals 48,000 rand. In other words, if he works for 1,200 hours, he's going to have made a profit, or not a loss, but he's going to have brought in 48,000 rand. Okay, let's write that here, 48,000 rand. Now, 48,000 rand means that's the money that's come in, but that's the money that's gone out. Okay, break even, no profit. If that is true, when we calculate his expenses for working 1,200 hours, it should also be 48,000 rand. And Ty, this is part of the show where I hold my breath and hope it works. Okay, so here we go. We're going to say I've got 30,000 rand plus 15 rand times 1,200 hours equals 30,000 rand plus what? Let's put an R here so we know we're talking rands. What's 15 times 1,200? So 15 rand times 1,200 gives me a total of 18,000 rand. So we know this part of the equation is 18,000 rand. What is 18,000 rand plus my 30,000 plus 3,000 rand equals, that's such a sigh of relief. It's worked out. Equals 48,000 rand. Okay, so it's equal to 48,000 rand. Do you see that? So if I work 1,200 hours, my expense is going to be 48,000 rand. If I work 1,200 hours, my income is going to be 48,000 rand. So at the end of the year, if I just work for 1,200 hours, at the end of the year, I'm going to say, whoa, check out this money, 48,000 rand. Oh, and I've got to give it away because I owe people money. Okay? So how much profit have I got? How much have I got left? Absolutely nothing. Do we understand the concept of break even? Let's move on. My next question is, if Justin works 20 hours per week for 45 weeks in the year, will he make a profit? Show you're working. Okay. How will we know if Justin has made a profit? We will know if he's made a profit if he makes more than 48,000 Rand. So that's what we're trying to find out. Will he make more than 48,000 Rand? Let's do this. Justin works for 20 hours per week. So what a lazy guy. 20 hours in a whole week. I can do that in a day, can't we? I think teachers do, with all the marking and everything.
It's like continuous work, yeah.
It's continuous. But Justin only works 20 hours in the whole week. This is starting to sound like our producer here, okay? 20 hours in a week for 45 weeks. So it's 20 hours times 45. How many hours does that make? Well, let's have a look. We're going to clear our calculator and we're going to say, right, 20 hours multiplied by the 45 weeks equals 900. So he works for 900 hours. If he works for 900 hours, he's way below. Why is he below? Because he had to work for 1,200 hours to make a profit. Do you remember that? We said 1,200 hours made our break even, or 48,000 Rand. Let's also check with the money. My income is going to be 40 Rand times the number of hours, which is 900 hours. When we do that on our calculator, we're going to say, okay, I've got 40,000 multiplied by 900 equals 36,000 Rand. Now, I know you could do that in your head, all right? But we just wanted to show how to do it on the calculator. So, 36,000 Rand, let's write it down here. Has he made a profit? Not at all, because he didn't make his required 40. How much did he have to make? 48,000. He only made 36,000. Ish. Very disappointing. Okay.
Yes.
Should we work out his expense if he only worked 900 hours? Let's do that. Okay. So we're going to say his expense, if we get a pen, here we go. Fantastic. His expense, do you remember, was 30,000 Rand multiplied by 15 Rand times the number of hours, and we said he's only working 900 hours. Okay, so let's do that on our calculator. We're going to say we want 15 multiplied by 900 hours equals 13,500. Plus that 30,000 equals 43,500. 43,500. Can you see how clearly this works? I love this example because it shows it so clearly. His income for working 900 hours a year, 36,000. His expense for working for 900 hours is 43,500 Rand. Can you see? Didn't work the required hours, didn't earn enough money. Now, if that's not a lesson to our producer, I don't know what is. Okay. Do we have anyone talking to us or not yet?
Not yet. Paige is still painfully quiet.
Oh dear. Okay. Right. Remember what we said in the beginning of the show, folk. If you are wanting a particular subject for us to cover next week, please let us know, and then we'll try and be of assistance and help you out with that. Let's have a look at our next question. Innocent wants to buy a cell phone, which he will use for business during peak hours. Okay. This is important. Why is it important? Because we have peak hours and we have off-peak hours, and they're different rates, aren't they? If I make a call during peak hours, whoa, my cell phone just goes way up. If I make a call during off-peak hours, well, I'm going to be able to make a lot longer of a call for the same price. So during peak hours, he has one of two options. Option number one, no contract fee. Oi. But you're going to be charged 1.80 Rand per minute for peak calls. Option 2, a monthly contract fee of 150 Rand. 50 free peak minutes. And then 1.20 Rand per minute for peak calls. Right. Below is a sketch which represents one of the options. Let's have a look at this graph. Okay. There it is. Is option 1 or option 2 represented by the graph? Give a reason for your answer. Well, do you remember that option 1 had no contract fee, but they charged us R1.80 for every minute we spoke. Now, if we have no contract fee and we don't use our phone, so I've got my telephone, but I don't use it. Why? Because I got no friends. Okay? Nobody loves me. No one cares for me. And so what I do, I've got a phone, and I've got my phone here. Here it is. Okay? I'll show you the back of it because I'm not allowed to show you the front of it because it's illegal. So, got my phone, and I just look at it. No one's phoning me. No one loves me. I just look at it all day. Right? Nothing happens. At the end of the month, my wife gets my phone bill and says, my dear, I'm proud of you. Once again, your phone bill is absolutely nothing. Okay? Because you made no calls, so you couldn't be charged for making those calls. Got the idea? However, in option number 2, if you look very carefully, option 2, there's a monthly contract of 150 Rand. In other words, if I had my cell phone and I take out contract number 2 or option 2, and again, nobody phones me, I just got my phone, and I'm looking at it saying, ring, ring, please ring. There's an Afrikaans song like that, eh? Lay, telephone, lay, where someone's begging the phone to ring, but it doesn't ring. Have you heard that song before?
If I could understand Afrikaans, then probably...
You don't understand Afrikaans. My but jy moet leer, what? Okay, so there's the phone. It's not working. I'm just staring at it. At the end of the month, what's my phone bill going to be? I'm going to have a phone bill. And it's going to be 150 Rand because I had a contract fee, a monthly fee of 150 Rand. So even if I made no calls, that's okay. I'm still going to pay 150 Rand. And it's going to make me feel special because there's nothing worse walking into the shop and paying nothing. Okay? Rather pay something. People think, whoa, he's important. Someone phones him. Okay, 150 Rand. But if you look at this graph, where's it starting? It's saying if I make no calls at all, I'm paying nothing. So obviously, folk, it must be referring to option number 1. Okay, let's have a look at the next one. My next question says, use the graph above to answer the following. What would a suitable label be for the horizontal axis or the x-axis? Yo, seeing x's and y's and maths literacy is just ugly. Okay, it's just like a swear word to me. I hate seeing x's and y's when we deal with mathematical literacy. But I think the reason that this was put in here is because sometimes we have people who do maths core. And they don't understand what the word horizontal or vertical means because they've just come from core where they've been dealing with x's and y's. So I think the person who set this paper said, you know what, hey, let's put in x because just to help those poor folk who used to do core maths. Right. So what would be a suitable label for the horizontal axis? And we've said this before when we were looking at graphs, but because it's a revision series, let's say it again. I've got a vertical axis and a horizontal axis. And the way I remember which belongs to which, if I stand on my balcony and I look out at the horizon, okay, I'm looking this way. I'm not looking at the horizon this way. Not at all, okay? Horizon over there. The horizon is like the word horizontal. So my horizontal is this set of axes over here. Which is my vertical? Well, there's only 2, so it must be that one there. Right. What would be a suitable label for the horizontal axis? I would say we're dealing with time. Okay? But not just time, but time in minutes. Why must I put the word in minutes there? I've got to put it there because if you look at these numbers, I've got 100, 200, 300, and 400. None of them have units. And because they don't have units, I've got to say what those units are. I nearly wrote seconds there. It should be time in minutes. Next one. What would be a suitable name for the vertical axis? Okay, so what will be a suitable name? I would say cost in rands. Again, folk, why am I saying in rands? I'm saying in rands because there's no R next to these numbers. If I had this R200R or R400 or R600R, then I could just say cost. Just cost. Simple as that. Cost. Why? Because I know what the cost is. It's in rands because it would be written next to the axes. But in this case, it wasn't. So I've got to say, hey, you know what? It's the cost in rands. Likewise with my vertical axis or horizontal axis, it's not just time, but it's time in minutes. Nice. Let's go on. How many minutes did Innocent talk for if he received a bill of 350 Rand? Now, one would ask the question, well, what are we talking? Option 1 or option 2 here? Hey, examiner, make yourself clear. The examiner did. How did he? Because he started off saying, use the graph above. So using that graph, we're answering these questions. So using the graph above to answer the following, and one of them is, how many minutes did Innocent talk for if he received a bill for 350 Rand? So let's do that. What we're going to do is we're going to draw a line here, and hopefully I'm going to be able to draw it straight. We know that's 200, 300, so 350 is somewhere over there, and we're going to draw a line all the way across, and we can see that it actually cuts my graph at that point over there. So how many minutes did he speak for? Well, I would say he spoke over here for just under 200 minutes. Okay, because that's where it cut. Now, folks, that's if I've drawn my line accurately. It's kind of hard doing it on this huge, big screen behind me. But sometimes when you're doing it in the exam, in fact, every time when you're doing the exam, you're going to be 100% accurate with that. Okay, and the final thing then is this. How much would Innocent pay if he spoke for 275 minutes? So 1, 2, that's 250. 275 is probably somewhere in the middle here. Okay, where did it hit? I would say it's hit over here. So how long did he talk for? Round about 500, or his cost is round about 500 Rand. Okay.
All right.
You happy?
Yep.
Okay, cool. Well, let's take a break.
All right. So guys, you know the drill. Make sure you keep having your pens, pads, and notepads out so you guys can make those notes, because I hope you're following this, because this is very important and will help you in your exams because it's revision. So guys, make sure you don't go anywhere and stick around, because we'll see you after this break. Welcome back, Mindsetters. I hope you had a nice little break. I hope you guys are ready for this next session, because you guys need to pay attention, because I'm not going to waste too much time explaining how important it is to make sure that you guys write notes, because this is revision. Revision is important. And guys, I hope you guys make sure that you guys tune in for the winter school program, so you guys can make sure you get maximum revision. And I'm going to hand this over to Peter now. Peter, take it away.
Great, because we've only got about 8, 9, or 10 minutes left. So let's have a look here. Write a formula which shows the monthly cost of a phone bill that includes the monthly contract and the number of minutes spoken in a month for option 1. Now it does say option 1, and it says for a contract if applicable. Now, was there a contract for option 1? Let's have a look. I don't think there was, eh? It said no contract fee. So it's only 1 Rand 80 per minute. So how much is that going to cost me? So my cost is going to equal 1 Rand 80 times the number of minutes. Okay? Or I'm going to say 1,8 M. Right. I'd only use that though if I'm working with it in a formula. But at the moment, I'm going to say the cost is 1 Rand 80 times the number of minutes. I bet I know what my next question is. Okay. On the set of axes found below, sketch a graph that represents the other option that is not already illustrated. So what option is illustrated here? Well, that's quite easy, hey? We've said it was option number 1. And we discussed that reasoning before the break. Now we're going to look at option 2. Now let's have a look here. I'm just going to pick a few numbers here. 0, okay? And so if I don't make any calls, What am I paying? I'm paying 150 Rand. Why? Let's have a look at this, because it says monthly contract fee of 150 Rand. So I'm paying 150 Rand. That's what I'm paying over there. Now, how much am I paying if I speak for 50 minutes? Sure, that's a long time to talk, but not over a month. Eh? My wife can do that in one conversation. So 50 minutes, a monthly contract fee of 150 Rand. But look at this, folk. I get 50 free peak minutes. In other words, after speaking for 50 minutes, I'm not paying anything for that. All I'm paying for is the contract. So what's my cost going to be? It's going to be, again, 150. So if I drew that as a graph and I started with 150, I'm going to get a straight line. There it is there. All right? Sorry, I don't know what happened to the other line here. Let's try to get rid of that one. There she goes. Okay, cool. So there is my line. Okay, we can't really see it in yellow, so let's try another line. Let's try another color. Let's try green. Okay, I think green will work better. There we go. Can we see that now? I'm sure we can. Okay, so anything from 0 to 50 minutes, I'm being charged 150 Rand. Why? Because that's the cost of my contract, and I get 50 free minutes. Now, what happens if I talk for 100 minutes? Let's have a look. So for 100 minutes, I'm going to be charged my 150 Rand, plus I'm paying 1 Rand 20, was it? I think it was 1 Rand 20 per minute after talking for 50 minutes. So if I talk for 100 minutes, you understand that 50 of them were for free, not paying for it. Okay? So if I talk for 100 minutes, how many am I paying for? I'm only paying for 50 minutes. So it's 1 Rand 20 times 50. So on my calculator now, I'm going to say we've got 1 Rand 20. I'm talking for 50 minutes. That gives me an answer. I'm going to add 150 minutes, and voila, it's going to cost me 210 Rand. So paying 210 Rand for talking for 100 minutes. Let's show that here. Right, so it's just above 100, roundabout, and that spot over there. Do you agree I'm going to now get a straight line? Okay, I've got to get a straight line. Why am I going to get a straight line? Do you remember when we did this graph work right in the beginning, like in the beginning of the year, in fact? What we said was, if I'm being charged the same amount of money, my graph is going to be constant. Now, I'm paying 1 Rand 20 per minute all the time. It doesn't suddenly change to 1 Rand 30, then 1 Rand 40, then 1 Rand 50. Then it's 1 Rand 20. It's not like the fuel price, hey, Ty, that's going up. It's just continuous 1 Rand 20. So let's have a look here at this 400 Rand. What happens if I speak for 400 minutes? If I speak for 400 minutes, how many minutes am I being charged for? I'm only being charged for 350 because 50 of them were for free. So I'm going to do the same calculation again, 150 plus 1 Rand 20 times 350 minutes. Let's have a look at that. So we're going to say, right, we got 350 minutes. We're multiplying it by 1 Rand 20 equals, we're adding 150 Rand, which was our contract. Our total is 570 Rand. So I'm going to make a little mark here, 200, 400, 570, somewhere over there. Now, let's draw a straight line. We're going to try anyway. From this point all the way to that point over there. Okay, I don't know why this thing always gives me another line. Let's get rid of that line again. Okay, there's my graph drawn, folk. And did you see how we calculated? But the trick behind this, there were two tricks. Number one, we had to start at 150 Rand because there was a contract. Number two, there was 50 free minutes. So we never paid for 50 minutes when we spoke. So if we spoke for let's say 60 minutes, we were only going to pay for those 10, plus the 150 contract. And Ty, our time's run out again.
I think so. Had a nice session?
I think we did have a nice session. I hope the viewers did. And please, folk, let us know what you want us to do next week.
Exactly, guys. I'm seeing a couple of you guys who've already posted. Guys, thanks. Keep posting, and let us know what you really want to find out. And guys, I just want to say also, grade 11s, make sure that you guys tune in over the 9th to the 12th of July, because guys, you need to make sure that you're there for the revision boot camp. But for me, I'm going to say cheers, and we're going to see you next time.